Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for pressing play on the latest and newest edition of the Michigan Soccer Central podcast, your weekly dip into the world's game being played right here in the Great Lake State. How's it going? My name's Robert Kerr, your host here as always, coming to you through the earbuds as usual, and also on YouTube with a video this week. Busy week, a big weekend in Michigan soccer as college soccer got on way. We are heading into the second week of the regular season for the boys' fall high school season. And there was a lot of other stuff going on too, including Detroit City FC getting a win on the road. There was also a cool event up in Mackinac Island, the Mackinac Island Cup, the first edition, as Livonia City FC traveled up to Mackinac Island and took on Upper Peninsula FC in an exhibition. I enjoyed it. I played it back and watched the full thing on Monday morning, just yesterday, on Michigan Soccer Network. Great to see. Great environment up there on Mackinac Island, and I love to see soccer and the game being played at the farthest reaches of our state. So very cool event there. Michigan college scene, like I said, that got underway as U of M Wolverines got a big win over Gonzaga and a big in-state tilt coming up on Thursday as the Western Michigan Broncos go up to East Lansing to take on the Spartans. So maybe you might try to nip over to the middle of the state to catch Mike Melorani and company. Try to steal another Big Ten scalp in state. So that'll be exciting. Hope everyone's doing all right. It's been a stormy week here in Michigan as the kiddos go back to school. There was a lot of branches down on the way, navigating our way to school this morning. So hopefully everybody has power and is doing all right. Big show this week. Like I said, we're trying to make it more regular to have video on the show, and we got two great interviews on the way. We've got Saline High School head coach, or Saline, Saline High School boys coach Ryan Williams on the program. They got a big rivalry game set for Tuesday night, and I've also got Detroit City FC's head coach Trevor James on the heel of his 100th game in charge. The La Rouge got a 3-0 win at the weekend, and then will be coming home to Hamtramck for their first of the remaining 4 home games in the regular season. So DCFC right now in the last place of the positions to get into the USL Championship playoffs. The top 7 go into the playoffs, and they're currently in 7th. So critical that they continue to collect points here in the run, and 8 games to go, 4 at home. So Trevor James, great interview as always, and he gives us an update on the status of a number of players and really digs into how he had to dig into his squad to replace some of the injured players that went down early in their season. So great interview with Trevor James of Detroit City FC and Ryan Williams of Saline varsity boys team here on the Michigan Soccer Central podcast. Hello, Michigan Soccer Central podcast here. Very excited to be joined by a returning guest. We had him on last year ahead of the NISA championships and at various times after Detroit City FC games over the weekend. He just came out victorious, or his team came out victorious, and it was his 100th game in charge. Coach Trevor James of Detroit City FC, thank you so much for joining me here on the Michigan Soccer Central podcast.
Not a problem. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with most recent news. you went on the road and won 3-0 away at Charleston. That was the first time the team had hit the 3-goal mark since May. Tell me about the game and what it meant to hit the back of the net so many times.
Well, it was, first of all, it was another good performance. We've had, been on the back of two or three pretty good or very good performances, one in Birmingham, and then the performance at home to Louisville, which unfortunately we didn't get the result we wanted. So the performances have been good, but we've just been missing in the final third, creating enough chances, or our final ball letting us down, and not finishing the chances we did create. So to go to Charleston and to score three in the second half obviously was fantastic for us. We huffed and puffed a little bit in the first half, and our quality wasn't quite what it should have been, or quite what we wanted to score the goals. But second half it was much better, and it was good to see, and nice to score three goals, as you say, because a lot of our games are one goal games, or they have been one goal, and it's tied, or it's 1-0 up or 1-0 down. So it's very much a stress test for me every week. So it was nice to score three goals, and hopefully and I had a chance to relax a little bit.
Yeah, I imagine it's been such tight margins throughout the summer. I'm getting distracted by your beautiful background here. We're doing it via video, and you're in such a soccer gold mine here. What you got behind you there, Coach?
Yeah, it's I'm actually doing the interview from inside the club shop, and so you can see a lot of the goodies that our fans are so gracious, keep supporting us and buying, and so we're just doing it in the club shop. So there's some goodies behind me, and obviously the merchandise has been massive for us. So it's great to actually be sitting around so much color.
Great background here for us talking. Kind of in the ahead of the home stretch, but like I said in the intro, this weekend's victory was your 100th game in charge. Did you know that going into the game? And then can you kind of maybe pick out some moments through this 100 games in charge?
Well, I did know it. I mean, obviously, that social media made a note and commented on it. So I was aware that it was the 100th game. I didn't, I hadn't counted them up and thought about which one's going to be the 100, but apparently it was. So I was aware of it, and it just seems to have gone so quickly. This is the fourth season I've been here, and just to think that going back to the first game or the second game, and having those at Keyworth, and then hitting the 100 mark, it just seems to have gone so quickly. But I think when you get older, like I am, then things do go a lot quicker, it seems. But no, but great, some great memories, obviously through the games. I've been fortunate. We've been very fortunate here that we've had a lot of success in the 3.5 years I've been here. Whether it was winning cups, or winning, trophies and league championships, and obviously sprinkled in there was beating Liga MX teams, Atlas in friendly games, and playing international friendlies. So a lot of good, a lot of memories stick out along the way, but nothing probably will be as big if we can just finish this season and have a few more good nights at Keyworth, and let's get into these playoffs and finish as high as we can. Would be the icing on the top, I think.
Kind of looking forward at that the run in where you said those goals of getting as high as you can and getting to the playoffs and making some noise. Um, I guess what has been the thing that has made getting those goals and making those such tight margins? What's been the reason for that? Like you said, you had a little bit of ability to relax with a wider score line, but they've been testing your blood pressure with the fine score lines
Yeah.
throughout the summer. What's kind of been the reason for that?
Well, I think it's the standard answer and the obvious answer is probably that every team in this USL Championship are very good, and that's all credit to the league and all credit to the other organisations. There is no easy game in the league to play. So every game is a battle. Charleston was a battle for us. I mean, the first half it could have gone either way, and then obviously the second half was much better for us, and we come out on top. But in every game, you go through ebbs and flows where people are on top, and you have to defend. And if you can get through those periods, then you've got a chance to win the game. But um, the standard is so good that you can't take any plays off. You can't take anything for granted, and it's the moment you don't work as hard as you can. And we're a very hard working team. We're a very collective team, a very hard working team, which represents Detroit very well. So that's us. But if we don't do that, we know that it's extremely difficult to get results. So I think answer to your question is that all the teams are good, and if you're not on your game, then it does come down to those margins of who can finish their chances. And we went through a spell. We certainly have been through a spell where we haven't created as many chances as we did early on, and we certainly haven't taken the chances as often as we did early on. So combination of that, and hopefully we've broke out of it now, and hopefully we can relax a little bit more and hopefully play with a little bit more freedom.
What's been the biggest surprise for you in this league this year? What's been like the unexpected variable that has been thrown your way this year?
Um, I've said it before, and I think that the most pleasing surprise is the biggest surprise, I suppose, but it's the most pleasing surprise is just how well our players have done. We know that there's teams with much larger budgets. We know there's teams with much bigger stadiums. We and the weather may be better in some markets than it is in Detroit. Certainly, first part of the season. So we know that that it's a battle against the so-called bigger clubs. And I think that when we came into the league, we brought, I think, a total of 9 players who had not played in the USL Championship before, if they had, a handful of games. So I think the biggest surprise, and it is a pleasant surprise. I'm not saying I didn't want it to happen, because I did, is the fact that so many players not only stepped up to say yes, I can play in the USL Championship, but to actually play at the higher end of the league, and that's all credit to them. That the reason we're sitting in a playoff position right now with 8 games to go would probably been a big surprise, and we would have said, well, we'll take that before the kick of a first ball. But now we realise why we're there, and it is that the players that we did bring are well capable of playing in this league, and obviously to play at the higher level. So that's the best surprise, and probably the biggest one, because we had a number of players that we didn't know how the league would. How they would be affected by the league.
One of those players that didn't have any USL Championship experience that became a key was no doubt Devin Amumensa, who played every minute up until his unfortunate serious injury. Tell me about how you've been able to adjust the squad since losing Devin.
Yeah, it was a major loss for us, as you said, Robert. He was an absolute standout. You can't I can't remember a game he played where he didn't play well this year. Um, and to lose him in such a way we did, with a not really a tackle or a challenge, and he just stepped funny, or not funny, but he stepped um, in a way that affected his knee as it did, and Yeah, and it's a major loss for us. But in him not being there again, we've been very much a collective group, and people have always been. We always say that you've got to be ready for change, because the sure thing is it will change, and you've got to be ready when it's your turn. And we've had Michael Bryant play there, and Carl Comet play there, and even Abdoulaye Diop has played there, and all three have done extremely well. So we've been very fortunate again that with the players who stepped in have, as I say, not just stepped in but stepped up and have performed very well. So it's a challenge for me to to can't pick them all, but I can't pick them all to play there. So it's always a challenge for me to make those decisions. But all three of them have done great, and lately Michael has been in there, and Carl has been on the bench ready to come in. So, but whichever one plays, they've never let us down, and I don't see any reason why they will. They've been outstanding.
Being prepared for change is definitely something for us all to hold on to. And you pretty much you went in the direction with Michael Bryant, and he's had to change, or he has adapted and changed his position. How many positions has he played for you this year?
Well, I think I think I say three, but it may be four, because I thought about it a little bit, and he's played both sides of the back. He's played in the centre of the back. He's played as the right wing back, and I've also in different games we've pushed him more of an attacker midfielder, just because of his creativeness. But yeah, it's probably four positions he's played, and I still asked him the same question, which is your best position, and I'm not sure he knows. So, but it doesn't seem to matter with Michael. Whichever role you asked him to do, he seems to grab it, and certainly wins his battle from what part of the field he's on, whether he's on the right, the left, in a midfield role or a defensive role. So he's, as I say, he was one who came, and I always thought he could play at a higher level. Playing against him, we played against him a few times, and I always thought he could play at a higher level, if he could get his focus and concentration and want to do it. And he's came here and proved to us and everyone else that he does want to do it. So, but I think don't know which is the best position out of the four for him, but I doesn't think he know either.
Players that are able to move all around the field and adapt quickly, is that more of like a football IQ sort of a skill, or is it athleticism, or a mix of both? Do you think?
I think it's a mix of both. I mean, when you said IQ, I thought, yeah, that's it. It is being able to understand what the role is, and how to read the game from different angles and different positions on the field. You have to read the game. So the IQ is massive. But I think you're also right when you said the athleticism, because different positions need different skill sets. That's where Michael comes in. He's a very intelligent footballer, and reads the game very well. And as I say, he's got stronger physically as the season's gone on, from pre-season. We've worked very hard. We've obviously improved our facilities at the club. We have a gym now, and which we didn't have last year. So the boys get to work out in their own gym rather than having to go outside. So there's more conditioning work. We have a strength and conditioning sports science coach, who covers that, and is Sam Joyce, who does a great job, um, with the boys, and they're all, you can look at them, whether it be Steve Carroll, or with Devin Mensah, or Matt Lewis, or Michael Bryant. They're all look stronger, bigger, and better athletes, and obviously that's going to make a difference, along with the soccer IQ.
Yeah, you bring up a separate question almost of when you see how deep the amateur ranks are across the country, and especially in Michigan right now. how many of those guys that only play those summer leagues, how much would they benefit if there was more opportunities for full time? Because you see a little glimpse, but I mean, putting months and months of working out and training, it helps you get better. So, I mean, I'm not sure what my question is, but what? How many players are out there, do you think, that could get to that level, but they haven't had the opportunity to train at that high level
Mm. Right. No,
regularly or that
no,
or length of
no. I
time?
think there are. I think there's quite a few. I obviously look at as much of the soccer in Michigan as I can, and so we have an idea of who's out there and who the next Michael Bryant is going to be, or the next Devin Mensah is going to be, and they're certainly out there, and it is trying to work to give them the opportunity, and if they have the right mentality, which is the main thing once you get into a club full time, it's a big difference from what you're used to playing. But if you've got the mentality and the willingness to work hard, yeah, there's quite a number out there, Robert, and I'm sure hopefully we'll see one or two playing for Detroit next season.
Yeah, you had a number of signings or three signings throughout the summer, and some we haven't seen, and some are just coming on. Can you give any updates on the three summer signings, Goddard, Foster, and Matthews, and where they are and fitting into the group, and when we might see more of some of
Well,
them?
Yazid Matthews was with us before, and he's been training with us for throughout the year. So we brought him on as we needed reinforcements in the attacking positions for the remainder of the season. So we brought Yazid back on. He's another one who's benefited from the full time training and the fitness side of it, the nutrition side of it, that we look after the players at. So he's bigger, stronger, and quicker than he was last time he played for us. So he's improved. He came on off the bench on Saturday, and he also started the game in Birmingham. So we're building up his minutes, if you like, so that he's is available to get to the 90 minutes when we need, or if and when we need. So that's where he is. Richard Foster joined us in Charleston, and unfortunately, we couldn't get his concussion testing done prior to the game, which meant he wasn't eligible to play. The players need to have the physicals and the concussion testing before they're eligible, and he couldn't. We couldn't get it done, so he was ineligible. But Richard is a very experienced player. Played in Scotland and England, but in Scotland I think we talked today, and I think he's played like 650 games at the top level. I mean, and he's joined us as a player assistant coach. He knows that he's 36, 37 now, so his playing years are not. He doesn't have too many of them left, even though he's still extremely fit and ready to go. So he's here now, but he's also assisting me as a player coach to have somebody, who can actually get in the field, get on the with the players and play on the field. So he's done his testing today, and he'll be available for selection on Saturday. And Cy Goddard, a younger player who spent I think 8 years at Tottenham Hotspur, part of their academy, and so on and so on. He's played around the world. He's played in India and won the championship. He's played in Australia. Um, so he's experienced very vast experience for his young years, really. So he joined us. He got into town last night. He did his physical also this morning. So he will train tomorrow, and again, he will also be eligible for selection on Saturday. So all three are now effectively on the roster and eligible for selection.
Uh, Good information there. Have you ever in your career had kind of like such a razor thin margin as far as squad depth?
Um, Close, yeah. I think while I've been at Detroit each year, we've only carried a small roster. Um, this is the smallest roster to play in such a league as the USL Championship. So it has been, we've had, five substitutes for a lot of the games. So yes, we haven't had the full number. So it is close to razor thin, as you said. But now with these additions, it makes a big difference.
So along with past Saturday's score line and then a couple more guys on the bench, are you breathing a little bit easier here going into this final stretch?
Yeah, I think so. As I said, we have cover in all positions. We wanted to make sure that we had cover in all positions, prior to the end of the season, and hopefully we play in the playoffs, and with the roster freeze deadline, which will come in September, we wanted to make sure that we had everybody in the roster that we need. So we're very close to doing that. So we'll do that before the roster freeze. So then we'll know what we can go with, and focus on getting as much out of these next 8 games as we can, and hopefully a playoff run.
Before we talk about this run into the playoffs, one of the things I've been meaning to ask you, it kind of came up, it came to a head a little bit early in the season as far as the fans adjusting to the new leagues and requirements and that, and there was the protest. I think it was a Columbus game, and the excitement of the night and the cold kind of getting to my brain. I didn't ask the question I wanted to. If in any of your stops along the way, had you had anything like that where there was a kind of an at odds with like the supporters, kind of at an odd spot as far as how they could express themselves?
I don't think so. Thinking back, I can't remember anything which was along those lines that they obviously expressed their views in the way they did. There may have been one or two, where there were a minute silence of here, there, and everything with as a protest, but not. No, that would be the first one I think I've experienced as that.
Where do you think that goes forward? Like, I mean, obviously, there's been huge crowds at Hamtramck this year. Do you think that have they been steadily growing as the temperature's been getting warmer throughout the year?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, so yeah, I mean the last bunch of home games have virtually been sellouts, and each game. So the atmosphere, and it's electric. Everybody is, you're a yard or two away from the field. Everybody's hanging on the fences, and making it very difficult for the opposition. So that's always good. Um, no, so I think as the weather has gotten better, then the crowds have certainly gotten better. Yes.
So you don't think that earlier signs of the previous question I was talking about with the process whatnot? Do you think that that's taken any energy out, or do you think that everything's kind of pushed on and kind of people have talked it out?
Yeah, I think it's probably moved on, and as I say, I don't think it's taken any energy out from the support we get. Now it's from minute one to minute 90, however many minutes we play now. They don't stop. They're singing, they're drumming, they're dancing, they're jumping around, and that's not just the Northern Guard side. I think the family side of the stadium is also joining in. So it's a very noisy place to be. The hardest thing is to get any information onto the field because the players can't hear a word I say. So well, they pretend they can't anyway. Let's put it that way. Maybe they can, and they pretend they can't. But no. But it's I think it's moved on, and the support has been absolutely fantastic. And with the remaining home games, I'm sure they're going to be sellouts again, or as close to as they are, and the support will be again. It seems to be win, lose or tie. The support doesn't change. It's 100% on, and I don't think it'll be changing for the rest of the season.
Yes, four home games remaining in the regular season. 8 games to go in the debut USL Championship. Top seven in the division go to the playoffs. You guys are in seventh with 11 wins, 9 draws, and 6 defeats. There's a bit of a gap to the team below you after the win on Saturday. I guess kind of what's the approach as far as you got to get those wins to stay in that top seven. At the same time, the best is yet to come, right? Where's that balance of putting your best foot forward, but then also having that extra gear when it comes down to a one game situation?
Yeah, well, I think as you say, we're a few points clear, but we still don't have enough. We know we don't have enough yet to say we're in the playoffs. We know that right now, so we're aware of that. But at the same point, Robert, we've been looking up. I think we're 5 points away from the fourth position, and the top four games for the top four teams get home games in the playoffs. So we're still looking up. If we can finish on a very strong run, we'll see how close we can get to that. If we have a strong run, we'll see how close we can get to it to finish in the top four, because that would be massive for the club, not only to host the playoff game, but likewise for the team. There are not many teams who like to come to play at Keyworth, so it would be great to host any of them at Keyworth in a playoff game. But we won't be greedy. That's what we'll aim for. But we'll be well satisfied if we, in our first season, if we could finish it with a playoff position. That would be outstanding.
Yeah, many teams don't get the boisterous support that you guys do at home. Do you see the communication issues of maybe they're used to being able to hear their coach and then they can't at Keyworth?
Yeah, absolutely. You can tell that the frustration builds. Whether it's because of the close confines or the noises, or maybe the locker room is not quite as big as the one they're used to. I don't know, but you can see that the frustration builds, and if people are frustrated on the sideline, they're normally frustrated on the field. So it's worked in our advantage a lot. I mean, we've had some very good nights and days at Keyworth, and let's hope that we have a few more before the season ends.
Next up on Saturday night, you welcome Indy 11 into Keyworth, and they certainly probably have a much bigger locker room back at home. But what do you expect from the match on Saturday night with Indy 11?
Mhm. But again, you got to respect who you're playing. Obviously, they're one of the larger clubs, if you like, if you judge things on the roster size, on the salary budgets, on their facilities, and so on and so on. So they're obviously one of the major players in the USL Championship. They've had a poor season for their standards. They would, again, we're talking about trying to aim for a top four position. They probably would have seen themselves in that sort of role before a ball was kicked this year. So they've had not a good season to this point. But they beat it San Antonio. They beat a very good San Antonio side Saturday. So it shows you that the quality of player they do have. So again, I think we just need to be aware of who we're playing and make sure that we play the team in front of us, not the team that we feel are a couple of spots below us in the standings. Uh, they're a far better side than what their standings are, but as we know, it's the results which will count in the end. So.
Very true, very true. If you had been told back in the winter time that you'd be in this position, sitting in the table where you are, would you believe it and would you take it?
I certainly would take it. Yeah, I certainly would take it. Not having to play 20 how many games it is, 26 games already. So I certainly would have taken it. As I said, I thought if we can be if with the amount of players who we were bringing out, we would have been really interested to see them develop. and maybe the first year would have been more of a development league, development season for us. Um, but yeah, so I think I didn't see us being at the top of the league, and I certainly didn't see us being at the bottom of the league. But around the mid-table would have been what I thought that in our first year would have been an acceptable effort for a first season. But as I say, people have just stepped up and played well above any expectations of a lot of people, and including me at some points, and thoroughly deserve to be where they are.
Well, your Detroit City FC takes on Indy 11 on Saturday night at Keyworth. The excitement just keeps on building as it gets to the business end. Thank you so much for spending a few moments, and it's very exciting. You have a few more players to select from, the new players ready for Saturday. Thank you for giving us the information there, and thank you for joining the Michigan Soccer Central
Thanks
podcast.
for having me, Robert. Anytime. It's a pleasure.
Welcome back here on Michigan Soccer Central podcast. In continuing our coverage of the brand new Michigan high school boys soccer season, we've got Saline high school boys soccer coach Ryan Williams heading into, or just has liftoff for his 7th season in charge and his 17th season total being involved with the program. I'm very happy to have Coach Ryan Williams. Thank you for joining Michigan Soccer Central podcast, sir.
Thank you very much for having me, Robert. And I know on behalf of all high school soccer coaches and players and fans, thank you for getting high school soccer some more exposure. We appreciate that.
Yeah, we're trying to give as much exposure to all the soccer, no matter the age level or any otherwise division. There's so much soccer happening in Michigan. Everybody deserves a shout. Your side has started the season off well. You participated in the Balcony preseason tournament and then got 2 wins on the bounce, opening up with a 3-0 win versus Monroe, and then most recently at home, a 1-0 win over Ann Arbor Skyline. What can you tell me about those recent games over the weekend, especially that tight one at home against Ann Arbor?
The one against Skyline was tremendously big for us. Skyline, they're always a great team, well coached by Chris Morgan, and every year it's one of our biggest rivalry matches. So, and they ended our season last year, so we played with a little chip on our shoulder and felt like we played really well. And I mean, it was a 1-0 game, tight game, and we had opportunities. They had some as well, and I was really happy. Obviously to get the win, but our kids played a complete 80-minute great game of soccer. We didn't, in the past we've had some stretches where we kind of took some plays off, and we would be outstretched or not fully locked in, and I thought all 80 minutes our kids bought into what we wanted to do in that game, and very pleased with that. 2 days before that, when we played at Monroe, it was a 0-0 game at halftime, and I thought we were playing well, but the kids, they were a little frustrated because it wasn't resulting in the end goal, which was in the back of the net, and made a couple adjustments at halftime and came out and played really well in the second half to win that game. And the Balcony tournament, a week and a half ago, we learned so much about ourselves. The competition there is so good every single year, and to play Grand Blanc and Salem and Clarkson, who's really good, I thought that we really learned, every kid got minutes. We learned what it's like to compete against those top teams. So it's been a great week and a half for us.
Yeah, I imagine getting kind of a measuring stick. That Balcony, you saw the top tier of the Division I teams, and so you could, you had some wins, some losses there, so you that was a good way to find a level, kind of?
Yeah, it's we play in it every year, and we really appreciate it that they continue to invite us back. because it's every year all 8 teams there are probably. I mean, all 8 teams are probably top 20 teams in Division One, or something like that. They're all quality teams. We learned real quickly, especially against Clarkson. We were playing a 3-back system, and that was not going to work for us against those type of teams. So we made adjustments, and defensively, I always want my team to be organized and tough to break down, and we were exposed in certain phases of the game. So big learning day, and I think we've made some pretty good adjustments so far.
So what's the composition of your team this year? Like I said at the top, your 7th year as head coach, and you've been in the coaching office for 13, and then you played there as well. So you've been around for almost 2 decades in the building. What can you say about the composition of the team this year, and then kind of what's the general theme of the program over your time there?
It is crazy how many fall seasons have been committed to high school soccer. I love it. It's more than half of my life now. I'm only 30 years old, and 17 seasons have been at Saline. This group is really well balanced. We have some tremendously good strikers up top. Christian Rossi, a forward at Saline, he's, in my opinion, should be considered in the discussion for a Mr. Soccer candidate. He's was a first-team All-State player last year, and now he scored 60 goals in his varsity career at Saline, which is the most by any player ever. We have a great midfield, and our back line is we have a 4-year varsity center back, Luke Allen, who's looking to play at the next level, and he's doing a great job leading our team, and our goalkeeping is great. So our team this year is very well balanced. I think we're going to score some goals. And defensively, like I said, we got exposed a little bit in the Balcony, and I think we've learned a lot from that. So, moving forward into this year, I think if we can be consistent in our performances, I think that it should be a pretty good season.
Your team over the last couple of years are in the, have very successful records. Last year, 13-5, and before that, 15-2. Where is your? Like you said, you have you really like your team this year. What are the What are your preseason expectations?
It's, and we go over this with our team every year when we go on our team trip. Like, what are our goals, and what do we want to be defined as at the end of the season, looking back at how the season went, because it does go by. It's a long season, but it goes by so quick. One of our main goals every year is to compete in the SEC Red and to win our conference. Last year we got second, and we had won it the previous 3 years. So this year we're going to do our best to compete for a league title. And I tell our team every year, like, our end goal is to play together as long as possible. And obviously with that would come everything else, winning a district championship, hopefully competing in regionals. And I think only one Saline team has ever made it to the state final. So, and these guys just love each other. They love being at practice. And I tell them, like, the worst feeling in the world is when you do lose that final game and then you're not, lacing up the next day with all your best friends. So we want to, we really strive to try and play as long into October and, hopefully November if possible. So that we can just be around each other, because they really enjoy each other's presence.
You've been the head coach, assistant coach, and a player for Saline. What's been the very top moment your time there?
Oh, that's a great question. There's been a lot of highs, some lows. Not necessarily a lot of lows, but it's always because these kids really, as I was just saying, every group that I've been around and helped coach, we really want the kids to play for each other. And really, I know myself and a lot of kids that I've coached, they develop these relationships through high school soccer that that are going to be there forever. And, some of the highs, my junior year, I played in a state semifinal against East Kentwood, and we lost. That was a memorable team. I had never lost as a player at Saline on our home field as a varsity player until my very last game when we dropped one to Ann Arbor Pioneer in the first round of districts. As a coach, some moments that stick out to me, we played Okemos in a regional final in 2014, and they were ranked number 1 in the state, and we played them at Grand Rapids Forest Hills Central Stadium. We won that game 3-2, and it was just an awesome environment, great game to be a part of. We ended up losing in the semis to Canton that year. And then and I was an assistant coach then. But as a head coach, some other memorable moments. My first year as a head coach, we beat Ann Arbor Skyline 1-0 in a district championship game. And in that game, Ann Arbor Skyline was ranked number 1 in the state and 20-0-0, and we pulled a crazy upset in that game. And so there's been a lot of highs, and some tough losses, but like I said, the memories that these kids have created they're gonna last them forever.
In general, kind of as a more of a macro look at the program, and just maybe high school soccer in Michigan as well, has the level of interest among like numbers coming to tryouts and then kind of interest in the student body, would you say that tide is rising or staying the same? What's like the general interest from players and the students alike?
At Saline, it's we're really fortunate to have Saline, right outside of Ann Arbor. It's a strong soccer community. We're fortunate. We always get a good turnout at our tryouts. I would say it was a little bit. When I say we had 70 kids come out for our program this year, so we have 3 teams. We're super fortunate and happy every year that I've been around. We've had a freshman team, which is awesome. I know some other schools, I think some numbers are down a little bit. It varies, obviously, with that incoming freshman class year to year. But in our program, the kids have they were working really hard all over the summer, and they were super excited coming into this fall season. And we've been really excited about the incoming freshman class. We have a very strong JV team, and our freshman kids, they're working hard. They had a tough loss yesterday at Northville, but it's a good group, and to have 70 kids come out, I don't know what every program is getting. I think the Ann Arbors said that they had around 70 as well, so pretty happy with that for sure.
From a coaching perspective, what's the kind of like the bottom line or baseline technical skill or ability that you want to see any incoming freshman or high school player have when they try to suit up for you?
That's a great question. For me, I mean, it's speed of play. There's a lot of kids that, as far as making the jump from JV to varsity, or high school soccer is just such a fast-paced game, and a lot of times a kid, what will hurt them is their inability to play quick enough and under pressure. So I just think that the speed of the game, if kids technically they're always training to make it as realistic as possible, because kids that over dribble or get their head down or don't see things quick enough, they'll struggle at the next level. And I think just kids, at such a young age, if they're just training every day, doing everything a quick tempo, it'll make them a lot better, and it'll benefit them in the long run. And then tactically, I wish that more kids would watch more soccer. It's my job, obviously, to coach and to teach them, but I think that if they watched more soccer, it would help them tremendously.
So you don't think your players are waking up on Saturday mornings and watching the Premier League or anything like that?
I'm encouraging them to. It's an exciting time of year with that starting up. So I know a lot of them. A lot of them are. They're always, having conversations about it, which is great.
I mean, seeing what is possible opens your eyes. Like, I think we're roughly around the same age. I'm maybe a little bit older, but you'd be lucky to catch a game here once a year or outside of the World Cup. It was slim pickings up until the last 5-10 years. Just seeing what's possible and the glory that you can achieve is also got to be motivating, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think these kids, it's soccer in Michigan it's always been strong, but it is getting better and better. And I know kids are doing their best to get looked at so that they can look and play at the next level. I know this year's Saline team, we have probably out of any team that I've ever coached, more kids on my team this year are looking to play college soccer than any team that I have had. So the kids they're doing their best to, make highlight tapes. They're doing their best to reach out to coaches. I'm always happy to have a conversation with anyone regarding my kids, and they're excited, with what we've got going now. And I think every kid on my team plays at the club level, which is great. So they're playing year round, and it's just, it's a lot of fun.
You have a busy week ahead into the second week of the regular season. A game, we're recording early on August 30th. You have a game tonight, Tuesday, and then again on Thursday night. You face Ann Arbor Pioneer tonight, and then you welcome Temperance Bedford on Thursday. What can you say about those games going in, and then what kind of rotation do you do for games that are so close together?
Today it's massive. It's Ann Arbor Pioneer. Saline and Pioneer have had it's a classic rivalry. I mean, when I went back to school, there was no Ann Arbor Skyline, so it was always Pioneer was our biggest rival. And and these kids now they see Skyline, but Pioneer and Saline every year is going to be a tight match, and the intensity, the energy, it'll be an awesome game tonight, which I know our kids are excited for. Like I said in the beginning of this, Pioneers won our conference last year, so they're the defending league champions, and so we're going in to do our best and try and get atop of the table and win tonight. And then with Bedford on Thursday, I don't know too much about them this year yet, but I know that they always circle Saline, I'm sure, for a huge game for them, so they'll give us their best effort. So it's always a quick turnaround in high school soccer, and having that consistency in our play is going to be key. We do have a good roster size with 22, so I think all kids will have opportunities this week, which is great, and hopefully we can continue to play well.
When you have games 48 hours apart, is there much training out in the field in between those?
It's not heavy on the legs at all, because it is a lot, and it demands a lot from these kids. But we'll address things that I'm always I'm always addressing the positives that we do as well. Not only looking at, what happened here, what could have been better. I'm always pointing out things that we did well the night before and addressing that the next training session. And then we'll do a lot of work on set plays and just talking about being more organized typically. But it's not necessarily a walkthrough, but it's always a little bit lighter in between, because 80 minutes, on a Tuesday night, and then another 80 minutes in intense games, it's difficult for anyone to do. So it won't be a hard session in between. It never really is for us, but the focus, it's so important to keep them mentally checked in for that training session so that they're prepared for the next game.
So very exciting night on Tuesday night. Saline versus Ann Arbor Pioneer. Would you say it was a classic rivalry?
Yes. Oh, it's every year. The games are they're intense. The kids, so many of the kids play club together, so they're all good friends. So they're always playing, to win those games for, a little bit of pride, and then, they're buddies. They all shake hands, and it's all, fun and games afterwards. But those 80 minutes, it'll be a great test for us.
That sounds very fun, very fun. Well, all the best to you, Coach, in your 7th year at the helm of Saline High School boys soccer team. Thank you, Coach Ryan Williams, for joining the Michigan Soccer Central podcast.
Thank you so much, and keep up the good work. We appreciate it.
Thank you, listener. We're just about wrapping up this week's edition of the Michigan Soccer Central podcast. Thank you to my awesome 2 guests this week. Head coach of DCFC, the legendary Trevor James, as well as Saline High School head coach Ryan Williams. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the guests who have come on to the Michigan Soccer Central podcast. You have all the guests have always been great. And be sure, listener, to check through the back catalog. Go through on Spotify and check out over a year's worth of podcasts. We've been doing it each and every week since last May of 2021. And we've been putting out at least weekly shows, sometimes multiple shows per week, for over a year now. So plenty of amazing stories, experiences, and perspectives from the game of soccer being played right here in the Great Lakes State. Be sure to submit your team of the week. Congratulations to the Chippewa boys varsity for being the Michigan Soccer Central We Are Soccer team of the week for the first of the 2022 fall season. And if you want to submit or nominate your team that's had an outstanding performance on the field, or maybe did something remarkable on the out in the community off the field, submit your team to Michigan Soccer Central or We Are Soccer. We are partnered up for Team of the Week once more. Get your nominations in by Thursday each week, and you have a chance to have your team or the team you nominate given a big old shout out on this program, as well as We Are Soccer, which is back up and running live on Sunday nights. Check Craig out. He is back up and running. So thank you once again, listener. And thank you to Jenny Hajnaki for editing this program as always. And thank you to the Michigan Soccer Central core team. And with so much soccer, there's high school, there's college games that I've highlighted at the top of the show, just great rivalries and lots of matchups, as well as the professional teams in action, a home DCFC game. So I look forward to hearing about those games and taking a lot of them in. Let me know if you've taken them in. So plenty to take in and plenty to enjoy. So until next time, everybody, please enjoy your soccer.